Hello, welcome everybody. This is the review to Regidar's The Ghost. Now, as this video goes along, you're going to see the pictures kind of rolling around like a broken reel in a movie. This is the closest symbolic comparison I could find to a broken record, just to add in an interesting touch. So hopefully you don't get too bored with it, nor too distracted. If you do, deal with it. So, Regidar, let me first bring out these notes to you. I enjoyed your story quite a bit. Whenever I read one of your stories, I usually do, in fact, enjoy it. They may usually not make it onto my favorites list, but that's because for me to click the favorite button, it's random. I don't necessarily have a reason to click it. It's just, I like this story a lot. I'm going to click the favorite button, or if I want to follow it. This one didn't exactly earn a favorite for me, personally. Simply because I really don't know why. So hopefully you can accept that. Now, let me tell you the reasons why I enjoyed this story. It was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed reading through it. I have no regrets. From the beginning, you put the question to my head, what's going on? You allowed me to understand, not exactly feel, but understand what Vinyl Scratch is feeling throughout the whole story. And then the reveal at the end, that was just, put yourself in the situation. How would you really react? Me, I'm a different person. I'm rather unique on how I act in certain situations. I don't panic. I don't freeze. And yes, I've had a person point a gun at my face before, so I know what that's like. But this is a different situation. Just going through this, it's wow. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say everybody should read this story because, one, little kids should not read this story. The language in it is rather realistic to a stressed out modern day DJ. So, yeah. Enough said there. Moving on, let me start with the actual review. This review being, let's start on the execution presentation. Let's go in order. So the point of view of the story is, in fact, third person, concentrating on Vinyl Scratch. That's simple. It's her point of view. You get more of an understanding how she feels. In fact, she's pretty much the only character in the story other than, spoiler alert, the ghost. Read the story, you'll find out why I say that. The execution was rather spot on. There's no actual errors, inconsistencies that I could find. None at all, actually. It was pretty much spot on, perfect in that few. Overall style, if you read any of Regidar's stories in the past, you'd find out it follows his personal style of writing, to the point, descriptive in emotion through actions, really. It doesn't go into the heartfelt, this is how I'm feeling. No, it's, you watch this character go around and do these actions, and that's how you know how stressed out they are, or how mad, or how in love they are. It depends on the story. It really does. So, all in all, overall style and the story, being inside the house, having a stressful day, and dealing with that stress is pretty spot on. Read the story. I actually recommend this story to anybody willing to read it. That's the rating. It's not an I enjoyed it story. It's I recommend this story. I really would recommend this story to other people. Not because of the prospect that it's paranormal, but because people actually do act this way. I've been around people enough to know how they act. I've had to go into situations and stop people before. The flow of the story, it's rather quick. I wouldn't say breakneck speed quick. No, it's pretty well paced throughout. In fact, if anything, the beginning of the story, going through the stress, is the majority of the story, so you understand the stress. And I see why this is important, and it actually balances well in the end, to my opinion. I didn't get confused when it all of a sudden jumped into something. Transition was beautifully done. And I mean the transition from point A to point B. There's 2 points in this story, really. The point where you recognize her emotion, to the point where you recognize her fear. And it still leaves questions in your head, but the questions are not so explosive it makes you mad. It's just simple questions like, for example, spoiler alert, how long was the ghost haunting her? How often does she get stressed out in order to see this ghost? What made this situation so different? It's simple questions like that. So, all in all, it was great there. The mood of the story is a soft dark at the beginning, because it's just massive into the feel of what people do. It's more psychological than not. You have this character that is enraged about themselves in life, about other things. It's really unclear, because I know for me as a person, when I'm in rage, I really don't know what I'm mad at. I'm just mad, and anything in my way better watch out, otherwise it will burn by my fists. Or my blade. Depends which one. So, that's the mood I received. I think that was actually the intended mood, to give us that feel. Now, Regidar, you're pretty much an impossible guy to get, so I'm not even going to try understanding your mind. So, your intended mood, I'm just going to say I received it based on what I described earlier. If I didn't, let me know. Now, towards the end of the story, it actually goes in a little bit more dark. It's not blow your mind dark, whole new idea like what the Rainbow Factory did to people. It was like, whoa, Rainbow Factory, woo! No, this one's not that type of dark. This one's more like I'm being hunted. Not haunted, but hunted type dark feel to it. And there's nothing you can do to get away. So there's all these variety of ranges you can get in a dark story, and that's what this story mainly revolves around, is self-inflicted pain that causes you to be caught in the end. Now, read the story, you'll understand why I'm saying. I have a hard time putting words in order. The grammar, I didn't find any errors in grammar, but you know me. You know me, when it comes to grammar and English stuff, I am the noobiest of them all, because I hardly have any idea what I'm doing. But I have good enough knowledge that I can usually find a couple errors, which I actually did find one somewhere, and it's recorded in the written portion of my commentary, so read through that, you'll be able to find it. Regidar, you wrote the story, you know where it's at. I give it a solid A. I give it a solid A. I found that one mistake, but I still give it a solid A. Any tips? Well, if you really want to help readers feel, maybe concentrate a little bit more of why, instead of just breaking us right into the rage, help the reader build up into that rage, that upset feeling. Not necessarily make it so sudden. Now, I understand about having sudden emotions also hit you. You have no idea where they come from, they're there. I have those moments all the time. Kind of comes with manic attitudes that I have, and among other people they have as well. Some worse than others. So all in all, I give this a recommend this story. I enjoyed it, and I loved it. So let me start with the salt, actually. The salt of the story is... the very beginning, I kind of had to force myself to read. I myself don't know how to fix this because I haven't been around the ballpark too often. But the very beginning of the story was hard for me to get into. I couldn't get into the story until she started hurting herself, which wasn't until the 10th paragraph about looking through the story. That's okay. Got my attention eventually, and I read through till the end, and I loved it. So huzzah as I read your comment there. The sugar. Actually, no, I have one more thing in the salt. Writing about the ghost. I study paranormal stuff, so I'm not going to exactly relate it to real paranormal events that happen, like what you find in Ghost Hunters or those shows, whether you believe they're real or not. I'm not going to state my opinion there because I don't believe half the stuff it shows there, due to my own personal experiences. So, the ghost itself, the way you wrote it, it more felt like a dreaming nightmare that somebody would have than something actually could happen. The good news is we're in Equestria. Things like this could, in fact, happen. So, when writing out the ghost, you did a good job with having that sudden movement appearance, the stoic feel of solidity of its purpose. You did a good job there, but I still felt a lack of reason to be afraid of it. And when you went to the climax of the ghost's actions at the very end, you could have added easily a little bit more to that to help the reader feel into the story. Other than that, it was great. Sugar, I loved it. I enjoyed the story quite a bit. Things that I specifically liked was the realization of giving up material aspects, like the turntable, just to save herself, and realizing not to work. The fear that was put in there, you did that rather well. It didn't put fear into me, and I personally feel it could have been improved on, but you still did great on it. How to improve on it, I really don't know how to tell you there. I just know what I feel. I'm a rather feely guy there, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So, end of story. I loved it. I recommend this story. Read it. And this is Chromega's Flare signing off. Until next time. See ya.